This case study focuses on the way energy is provisioned and consumed or not in Sofia. The case study unpacks the interdependencies between food, water and energy, commonly referred to as the urban nexus, and the implications of their relationships for affordability. Understanding fuel poverty from an access perspective provides a more inclusive way of learning from user experiences, in particular vulnerable consumers, and designing solutions building on these experiences. This case study examines interconnected and interdependent practices of provisioning and consumption of water, energy and food in Sofia, Bulgaria. The food, water and energy nexus emerges from interacting social and physical systems, and is as much about how social and ecological systems relate to each other as it is about the material way in which these systems are interconnected. The case study illustrates how new interconnections can be created across different political scales, including individual practices, cities, and national level policy, and between nature and people. The Sofia case focuses on the nexus challenges faced by the poor at local community and household levels. Bulgaria saw a reduction of nearly 30% between 2010 and 2016 in terms of households' ability to keep adequately warm. Although retail electricity prices in Bulgaria are the lowest among the countries in the EU, Bulgaria has the highest rate of energy poverty in the EU at 39.2% of households. Many believe that the real numbers of fuel poverty are much higher and could be over 50%. This means that those living in fuel poverty are not the only people belonging to traditionally vulnerable groups such as the elderly, disabled, and those in long-term unemployment, but include households who are in full-time employment as well. The reasons for the high levels of fuel poverty and low levels of ability to keep adequately warm are multiple, systemic, connected to the historic way electricity and heat are provisioned within the capital, Sofia. Also personal, linked to low earnings and old housing infrastructure. District heating is the main form of heating and hot water supply in the densely populated cities in Bulgaria. Almost 65% of the national heat supply is produced by combined heat and power plants in Sofia. However, district heating is characterized by strong path dependency and lock-in. District heating in Bulgaria was built during the 1950s and 1960s and was designed to provide a collective subsidized heat supply without consideration for individual consumer needs. Heat was provided at a fixed price below the cost of production. The increase in fuel prices towards world market levels in the mid-1990s, following the collapse of favorable trade relationships with the former Soviet Union, heavily impacted the cost of heat production. The outdated design of the district heating system did not allow reduction of supply costs. Insufficient maintenance and investments led to gradual deterioration of district heating assets, low efficiency of operations, and poor quality of services. This led to over 30% of households disconnecting from district heating services between 1994 and 2000, a trend which continues today. The decreasing consumer base, low collection rates due to non-payments and heat and power thefts, the use of low-grade coal, available funding for energy efficiency retrofits, and poor energy governance in Bulgaria further weakened the financial situation of district heating companies, the largest of which is located in Sofia. In Sofia, central district heating is used by around 11% of households, and over 20% of the buildings are prefabricated panel buildings, most of which in desperate need of renewal. This could involve over 680,000 buildings that will be needing renewal by 2020, half of which are prefabricated panel buildings. Because of these structural issues, district heating has long been one of the most expensive ways of providing heat and hot water in Sofia. And it comes with problems with billing, with many customers being routinely overcharged and customers not having access to their heat or hot water meters. For many, the only way to exercise control over heat and hot water bills is by switching radiators off, using cold water and having greater control over how electricity is supplied in the household. Many customers, particularly vulnerable customers, wish to disconnect from district heating altogether, but are unable to if they lived in multi-family buildings. Even if radiators are removed from the individual property, they're still eligible for an amount to cover heat transference from pipes, which run through the walls and for communal spaces such as corridors and halfways. Energy provisioning in Sofia is less than seamless, and multiple and overlapping ways of provisioning heat are commonplace. Wood-burning stove coexist with electric radiators, central heating and air conditioning, sometimes in the same room. Often each room in a home will have an independent and different way of providing energy services. People in Sofia go to great lengths to make sure that they have control over where the heat comes from, how much they will use, and at what cost. Households often have a portable gas hob, an electric hob, and an oven, as well as access to a wood stove, usually in a property outside of the city. That's because people believe that different sources of energy are needed in order to control the cost of energy. For example, cooking in the summer is almost predominantly on a gas hob, while in the winter on an electric hob to warm up the room. One respondent that I met during my research, let's call her Lily, usually cooks once a day in the summer, getting up early in the morning when the air is still cool. In the winter, she cooks 3 times a day as a way to keep bodies and the flat warmer. The way water and food are provisioned in Sofia also has a direct impact on the way and amount of energy used. Water quality in flats with district heating, for example, often varies, and water can run smelling and tasting of rust. For example, many report that hot water from the tap can run brown, while cold water can run yellow. Thus many drink boiled water and tea, and that's in addition to buying bottled water, while tap water is used for cooking and washing only. This necessitates the use of more energy in the purchase of expensive bottled mineral water. For many, coping with the energy and heating bills is a process which spreads over most of the year. Many particularly vulnerable people in Sofia are managing the fuel poverty that they experience through 2 interrelated practices: urban gardening and making zimnina. Urban gardening is an informal practice which involves all activities related to the growing of food within and near the city, from inner city allotments and community gardens to peri-urban off-ground cultivation, or have a functional relationship to it. For example, if any element of the practice of urban gardening depends on a flow of resources and materials from the city. Making zimnina involves a broad category of informal practices preserving food for the winter at the household level, usually through canning fruits and vegetables. To illustrate how this works for people in their daily lives, I will introduce you to one of my other respondents, Maria. Maria is a pensioner living 10 minutes away from Sofia's city centre. She has been making zimnina all her life. She starts preserving food for the winter as early as June. So she peels, boils, fries, stuffs and closes jars with fruits and vegetables almost every day until the end of September to make enough food to last her until April next year. Experience has taught her to do this in a meticulous way, cleaning all the vegetables, fruits, glass jars and metal tops really well with plenty of water. Frying everything long enough and boiling the stuffed jars at a high enough temperature so that they last up to 6 months. She makes 1-liter jars of mixed vegetables, seasoning and cloves of garlic, which can be eaten cold as a salad and warmed up on a food burner in the room where she cooks, sleeps, washes herself and spends her days during the winter. She makes smaller jars of 200 to 300 milliliters of compote, with pieces of sweetened fruit in water, which could be dessert or breakfast in a day. Her practice is driven by the need to provide a full meal or even multiple meals for the day for herself, thus buying only bare necessities during the winter: medicine, bread, soap. Everything else goes to bills, with heating and electricity being the biggest one. For Maria, making zymnina is an important way to redistribute food through the winter, impossible without growing her own fruits and vegetables to do so. Another pensioner, Anna, age 86, explains how this works for her. I prepare the jars of zymnina so that when I open one up, it can last me the whole day. I put in everything: the seasoning, the salt, the vinegar, everything really, when I'm stuffing the jar so that I don't need to add anything else later. 1/2 liter jar is enough for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Sometimes I even have it as a snack, if it's really nice. That way, I don't need to switch the fridge on. If there is anything left, I take it outside on the terrace where it's cold. It is really important for the jars and their tops to be sterilized really well. You have to use fire so that you boil them at a high enough temperature and you wash them really well. You can't do that on the hob. That's what I do in the winter. Otherwise, I can't manage the heating bills. So, what can we learn from this case study? Join me at the next video.